The Blue Jays punched their ticket to the ALCS for the first time since 2016. Hey everyone, welcome into Long Ball. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun Blue Jays writer Rob Longley and Toronto Sun sports columnist Steve Simmons. And guys, we talked yesterday that the idea to go with a bullpen game was either going to be a masterclass by the Blue Jays coaching staff or the complete opposite. And boy, did it work out as well as you could have planned, considering how things went for John Schneider and the Blue Jays just a few years ago in the wild card round versus the Twins, Rob, when he pulled Jose Barrios to go to the bullpen. This has to be a bit of redemption for Schneider and company.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, it was a culmination of how he's changed and evolved as a manager, how he's learned to communicate better with the front office and with his pitching staff, and how he's confident in putting together a plan that's going to work and being able to stick to it. Now, you needed each of the 8 pitchers to deliver, and you needed a little bit of offense to make sure you take care of business. But the way that he structured it in consultation with pitching coach Pete Walker was brilliant. I mean, they had a matchup plan all the way along. They had alternatives, that they had different directions that they could go. And while it wasn't always an easy route, I mean, the Yankees did get runners on bases and threatened at times. It worked to near perfection. And I think in the broader picture, Rob, it's reflective of what has made this team successful for much of this season. It's everybody on that roster contributing. We've paid more attention to it being on the offensive side, where they're getting contributions up and down the batting order, but the pitching staff has had a lot of contributors as well, and in no case was that more evident than on Wednesday night when they were able to clinch it with 8 different guys getting the job done. A lot of people questioned Schneider and the Blue Jays for going into a 5-game series with 3 starting pitchers, but this was the plan all along, and it came through when they needed it in Game 4.
Yeah, the thing is, it came through because the players delivered. And that's the remarkable part about this Blue Jays team and about John Schneider and about his belief in his players. Take Varland, for example, who gave up 2 home runs in Game 3, and he started Game 4. I can't think of another manager. I was trying to think, who would make that kind of decision? Well, John Schneider made it, and it worked out perfectly. Then he goes, if you go through it, man by man, pitcher by pitcher, matchup by matchup, everything worked because he made the right decisions, but also because the players delivered. And that's the remarkable aspect of this Jays team. Yeah, you expect Vladimir Guerrero to be great. After this season, because it's been so surprising, you expect George Springer to be really good. But you don't necessarily expect Brendan Little and Fluharty, and you can go through the whole list, depending on who it is, expect them to be against this powerful Yankees team, which I have a lot less respect for now that the series is over. And the Jays outscored them 28-9 in the 3 wins. These weren't close. Not one of the 3 victories were close. But what Schneider does with this group is hard to explain. But it works. Whatever it is that's going on, it works. And last night, what happened? 2 RBIs from Nathan Lucas. Guy's played 11 years in the minors. Nobody wanted him anywhere in the major leagues. He's been bounced around. His nickname was DFA. The guy, two RBIs from him. And I love the Miles Straw at bat last night. Well, nobody pays any attention to Miles Straw except when he plays the outfield. So he comes up to bat. Alejandro Kirk is on third. It's almost like he placed the ball into right field. I mean, that is the most typical Blue Jays this season RBI you're going to find. It just sort of floated its way, landed in right field. Kirk walked home. It's now 5-1 instead of 4-1. Big difference when you're playing a team with all that home run power.
Yeah, it really worked out. The all-hands-on-deck approach that the Blue Jays have had pretty much all season long. It was the quintessential 2025 Blue Jays win. So when you look back at this series, Steve, whether it's Game 4 or some of the other victories, what do you think you're going to remember most about this set against the New York Yankees?
Well, I think 2 things. One, Trey Yasevich is semi-no-hitter, whatever you want to call the shortened no-hitter, and just how commanding and brilliant this young guy is, and we don't know what next start's going to be, and we don't know what next year's going to be, but wow, what a debut on the big stage for this young man. And I think that's something I'm going to remember probably, for the rest of my career. And You know, the Vladdy Guerrero coming out party. You know, we've been talking about him, you know, money, and I don't think he had the world's greatest season, and his numbers weren't that, you know, and then you look at what he did in the series and how commanding a presence he was in every single way. So I'm going to remember Guerrero and Yasevich more than anything else.
Rob?
Yeah, to me, there's no question that it's Vlad Guerrero Jr. I've been of the opinion all the way along that if this team is going to make a sustained run to the World Series, they're going to need Vlad Guerrero Jr. to drive the bus, especially with Bo Bichette not part of the lineup. And it was a coming out party for him, and he didn't have a good regular season, not by his standards, not by superstar standards. But he turned a switch in the 5 days between the end of the regular season and the start of the postseason. And he changed everything. He had a grand slam. He had 3 home runs. He had a whole pile of RBIs. He drove in the first run in the biggest game of them all last night, Game 4. I mean, the man delivered on the biggest stage and is clearly playing with some confidence and clearly seems driven, to me anyway, to be the superstar that not only the Blue Jays fans expect of him, but that he expects of himself. And the Savage story was great. Still a lot to be written on that. But we had to wonder whether Vlad Guerrero Jr. was going to be able to deliver in the postseason, especially after his 2 previous trips to the playoffs where he was basically miserable at the plate. But he's arrived now, and really look out for what's going to come from him the rest of the way.
And I think the whole thing with Aaron Judge is something he took personal. I mean, I don't know Vladdy well enough to say that's what he's thinking, but that was the matchup going in. You know, the greatest hitter in baseball and the guy who many people think should be among the greatest hitters in baseball. And I think that matchup, you know, you look at, I mean, Judge had nice numbers, but they weren't the numbers that Vladdy had. They weren't the 3 home runs. He didn't have the big RBI numbers. And so Vladdy defeated Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees, which I think is an amazing thing for him going forward.
Yeah, it really was. Just to give you context of how impressive that run was for Vladdy. He's the first player in MLB history with 9 hits and 9 RBI within the first 4 games of a postseason. So truly, truly incredible stuff from the Blue Jays, face of the franchise. We will see who the Blue Jays will play next in the ALCS as the Tigers and Mariners will play a game number 5 on Friday night for the right to come to Toronto for game 1 on Sunday. As always, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. For Rob Longley and Steve Simmons, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.